This is Jackie Weisfield, and I'm presenting the case study Internet Use Violation for EDL 850. I started with Category 1, what I know, what I need to know, and identification of the problem. So for what I know, I divided it by each person or location. And so I know Dr. Harvey Smith is the current principal of Slattery Steno High School and has been there for 9 years. He was a former principal of the year. He's very well respected by the parents of the students at the school. He's interested in maintaining the great reputation of the school. He also hired Miss Tate to teach upper level science classes. And to this point, he's given Miss Tate suggestions about how to decrease student stress in her classes, as he has fielded numerous parent and student complaints about workload and poor instruction in Miss Tate's class. Dr. Smith has copies of the email and Facebook page that were sent to Miss Tate, and Dr. Smith intends to meet with Miss Tate and William Hall on Monday morning. What I know about Miss Tate. I know that Miss Tate is a second-year teacher with a strong academic background in science. I don't know about her background necessarily in terms of teaching, but she does have a strong academic background. Miss Tate has not been successful in implementing the strategies given to her by Dr. Smith. We don't know why that is. We just know that she has not been successful. Miss Tate received an unidentified email with a link to an outside Facebook page. She perceived the information in that page as threatening. Miss Tate immediately called Dr. Smith, her direct supervisor, about the email and potentially defamatory Facebook page. Miss Tate identified William Hall as a potential author of the Facebook page when she was requested to suggest a possible student who would do that, and Miss Tate believes that William Hall does not like her and makes snide comments about her, hence disrupting her class. What I know about William Hall. All that we know about him is that he's a student in one of Miss Tate's classes, that other students ask William for help with their computer problems, and we also know that there's no hard evidence of William being the disruptive influence in her class, but she highly suspects that he is. What we know about Slattery Steno High School, to give us a little bit of background on that, it's an affluent area of a large city, and parents are upper and upper middle class professionals, so doctors, lawyers, and the like. Students have access to the latest technology because of that socioeconomic status, and it's considered the most prestigious school in the state. What I need to know in order to fully understand and delve into the investigation is when the email was received. When the Facebook page was authored, we don't know if it took Miss Tate a week to open the email, a month to open the email, a day. We suspect it was just over the weekend, but it doesn't specifically say. We'd like to know who authored the page, who commented on the page, maybe who likes the page. I need to know what are the classroom conditions like, social, emotionally, in Miss Tate's room for students and staff as well. I need to know if Miss Tate feels comfortable going back into her classroom and teaching. I need to know what other potential sources are there for the page. Are there other students that might have concerns about Miss Tate? I need to know what the district policy is for this situation and who else I might need to contact and be in communication with. I need to figure out if Facebook can remove the page due to threatening content. And I also need to know what email address Miss Tate received the unidentified email at, if it was her personal account or if it was her school account. And then, why did Miss Tate click on a link from a source she didn't know? That's one of the first things that they send out to us every year, is not to click on emails from unknown sources, and particularly links in those sources. And so what was it that, what was the impetus of her clicking on that? So I feel like there are really three issues to this problem. The first one is that someone created a Facebook page that creates legitimate concern for Miss Tate's safety. And that's really a byproduct of the fact that Miss Tate's classroom culture is not conducive to the best learning for students. So that's the second piece. And then the third one being at least one staff member is not following internet safety rules and guidelines because they're clicking on unknown emails and web page links. Category 2 is my plan of action with strategy. So I created a quick step-by-step plan of action and then fleshed those out a little bit in the upcoming slides. So immediately I'm going to contact the district superintendent after talking to Ms. Tate. I'm going to ask for additional safety presence, and I'll go into that a little bit more later. I'm going to examine the documents to see if there's any link to another person in the building or somebody related to someone in the building. I'm going to begin planning the investigation based on what's found in those documents, and then contact the technology department to see what information they can gather to help in the investigation. And then on Monday morning, first thing, I want to check in with Ms. Tate, and then I'm going to conduct the investigation. Ultimately, over time, I'm going to need to develop PD for staff on internet use and safety using board policy, and going to have to provide additional supports for Ms. Tate regarding building classroom culture. So for the first 3 steps, contacting the district superintendent, I want to share my safety concerns, have the superintendent share any safety concerns as well, make sure that the superintendent is on board and that the superintendent doesn't think that we need to go beyond the building walls at this point. I also need to find out any legal next steps that I need to be concerned about or aware of. And then I want to outline my plan of action for the next day so that the superintendent knows exactly what's going on. I will be asking for an additional safety presence, but not asking necessarily the superintendent for that, but asking my support staff to make sure that they visit more classrooms and show presence in the school. And then I want to ask the district safety and security lead to be a presence in the school that day as well. Maybe not all day, maybe it's popping in and out, but just making sure that people know that that person is around. Then I want to examine the documents to see if there's a link to somebody in the building. So I'm going to be looking at who commented, who followed, or who liked the page. And then I'm going to go and figure out if this sounds like a student or parent conversation that Dr. Smith has already had, because that could indicate the author as well. And I want to begin planning the investigation based on what's found in those documents. So I want to start with people I know have seen the document and branch out from there. And if there is no one, I will talk to William Hall, but after I talk to Ms. Tate, see if she has any additional thoughts about who might have authored that document and why. Then I want to contact the technology department to see what information they can gather to assist in that investigation. And I want to do that before I start the investigation so that they have time to collect that information. And I want to figure out if they can identify if it was done on a school computer and by whom, if it was done during school time, any of those pieces, anything that they can give me in terms of additional information. And I also want to check in with Ms. Tate if anything has come up for her. Is she ready to go back into the classroom? And then I want to share with her my plans for the investigation so she knows that we're taking this very seriously. Finally, I'm going to conduct the investigation without Ms. Tate present. I think that that could taint the results. I'm going to assign consequences according to board policy and legal statutes when the author is determined, if the author is determined, and also if the author is determine whether a threat assessment is necessary. And then also discuss the option of restorative justice with all of the involved parties to help repair those relationships. After the initial Facebook and email issues taken care of, I want to develop PD for staff on internet use and safety using board policy and create some scenarios that would illustrate different situations that teachers might get into. And then I also want to provide support for Ms. Tate regarding building classroom culture. And so that will include some intensive coaching, maybe not with an administrator, but maybe with a mentor, and then have Ms. Tate do a reset of classroom expectations and do some observation and feedback cycles, again, either with a mentor or with an administrator. So here's a resolution that promotes the success of all students. So in promoting the academic success of every student and thinking about what's best for students academically, staying focused on the teaching and learning, supporting the teachers, and creating relevant staff development are really the three things in terms of academic success with regard to this incident. So having Ms. Tate remain in the classroom rather than getting pulled during the investigation is a decision that supports that. Providing Ms. Tate additional classroom supports for building a positive classroom culture supports that academic success for every student, and providing staff development on digital citizenship that is turnkey so that they can use it with students is going to be best for the academic success for all students. In terms of the personal well-being of every student, what's best for students, using that restorative approach, not necessarily approaching it from a punitive viewpoint, not having a predetermined outcome of who's going to be there and what's going to happen, and then supporting student safety and security as needed and bringing in those additional assets. So in the investigation, not singling out William Hall, asking for additional security measures, using that restorative approach, and a potential threat assessment will promote the personal well-being of every student. Category 4, reflective debrief of the problem. So what I was thinking as I was going through this this module in particular, and this scenario in particular, why Ms. Tate opened that email. That is the first email from technology that I get every single year. Do not open emails from unknown sources, and do not click on links from unknown sources or sources you don't trust. How can I assure that this doesn't happen again? How can I make sure both sides feel heard and respected and not have an imbalance of power? And how do I approach parents about this? Because that communication needs to happen to continue to have that positive relationship. But how much can and should I communicate? I'm thinking about what resolution is fair and supportive of the classroom relationship, and I am thinking that Dr. Smith may be overlooking a serious incident because of the reputation of the school and the clientele and wanting to keep that relationship and reputation. So I'm feeling nervous about if this is a real threat. I'm concerned about Ms. Tate's feelings about the culture and climate at the school, and whether or not she would want to return. I'm concerned about the culture and climate of the school in general, that this would even happen. I'm feeling confident in my response and that it's best for all parties, but I am, again, still annoyed by Dr. Smith's response. And the values that I'm taking into account are really a positive school culture and climate, staff and student safety, relationships, due process, making sure that we're not just singling out a student because a teacher has decided that that student is responsible, looking at the needs of the individual, and pre-planning. So my lingering issues are what is not working in Ms. Tate's class and why. Of those suggestions that Dr. Smith has given her, what's not working? I'm also wondering what the knowledge and background level is of staff on internet safety and digital citizenship. I'm wondering about what the culture and climate of the school is for students and staff. I'm also wondering if there are other teachers mentioned on the Facebook page, or if there are other Facebook pages that this has happened to other teachers and they just haven't clicked through. So has this happened before? So in terms of professional ethics, acting with integrity, the way that I did that in the solution was an unbiased investigation with an open mind, taking the threat seriously, assuring district personnel were aware of the situation, and providing additional support to Ms. Tate. In terms of fairness, again, the unbiased investigation, using that restorative approach ensures that you're doing it with more fairness. And then whole staff PD around internet safety and use and digital citizenship, that is turnkey so that they can provide it to students. So now it's going to the entire staff, and the students are going to get it as well. And then finally, by acting ethically on promoting the success of every student through taking this threat seriously, doing a threat assessment if necessary, providing additional support for Ms. Tate, the restorative approach, collecting evidence, and interviewing without accusing. So that is my analysis of this case study. Thank you.